Good day, I am Elisha Daniel Necesito.
I am Beverly Bonachita.
I am Brian Kenji Rabis.
I am Florentino Roton.
This is Cyberspace Awareness Program.
Recognize,
Identify.
Be disciplined in cyberspace.
Good day, netizens. Today we're going to talk about what is cyberspace. Let us watch this.
It seems impossible to imagine life without the internet, but it was created just decades ago, in 1969. The United States Defense Department worked with several universities to connect a set of computers through a network called ARPANET, allowing the government and researchers to send scientific information back and forth across the country. These first users mostly knew and trusted each other, but over the years, with the advent of personal computers, individuals outside the research community started joining the network. And in 1991, Tim Berners-Lee introduced the World Wide Web, a system for connecting files to each other across the internet, allowing users to easily explore a vast world of information, often referred to as cyberspace. The US government soon outsourced management of the network. A nonprofit organization called ICANN was created to administer the internet's addresses and domains, and private companies sold internet services to users. The web continued to grow exponentially, becoming the defining feature of modern life, where any user can interact with any other user anywhere, almost instantaneously. Through the internet, businesses, governments, and all types of organizations are able to gather more information, conduct more commerce, and operate more efficiently. But with these enormous benefits come enormous challenges. The internet was designed by a community that trusted its members to act in good faith. Yet, this important tool is no longer in the sole hands of friendly scientists. Now, 4 billion people, around half the world's population, have internet access. The very connections that make our lives easier also expose us to a world of danger. Many governments are seeking to tame cyberspace by addressing 3 major policy issues: cybersecurity, data privacy, and online rights.
Cyberspace is a place or an environment where we are interconnected digitally, because we all know nowadays that everything is via the internet. Now, we're going to talk about the things to consider or the etiquette in cyberspace. Here is Miss Bonachita for that.
yes, thank you, Mr. Necesito. Today we're going to talk about cyberspace etiquette. Let us watch this.
What are the rules of cyberspace? To ensure stability of cyberspace, countries have agreed on 11 norms of responsible behaviour. Although voluntary, these rules of the road set a standard of what countries should and should not do in cyberspace. What are these norms? The 11 norms are divided into 2 types. Norms of restraint, the activity or potential cyber targets that countries have decided are off limits. Norms of cooperation, the ways in which countries should cooperate against shared threats in cyberspace. Let's look at one of the norms a bit more closely. A state should not conduct or knowingly support ICT activity that intentionally damages critical infrastructure or otherwise impairs the use and operation of critical infrastructure to provide services to the public. This one is pretty broad, and while many countries have different definitions of what critical infrastructure is, most agree it includes the power grid, the financial system, food supply, and transportation system. All these sectors are increasingly dependent on computers and computer networks, and a disruption to any of these could have catastrophic consequences. So, at least in peacetime, this norm means that no country should launch a cyber attack against these sectors that will result in great harm to ordinary citizens and lead to an unstable world. The fact that there is no clear agreement among states on what constitutes critical infrastructure or how these agreed norms should be implemented is not helping us deal with these threats. Worse yet, nation-state cyber attacks against these critical systems have continued and accelerated. The increased attacks against hospitals and healthcare providers in the height of the ongoing pandemic is a case in point. So, norms and rules are important, but there is more to do. First, we need greater acceptance and implementation of the norms from all countries around the world to give them greater force and meaning. But even then, norms are just nice words on paper if there is no accountability and consequences for bad actors who violate them. It is important for countries not just to embrace the norms, but to work together to call out those who transgress them and make sure there are consequences. Only then can we achieve a more stable and peaceful cyberspace for all.
Forget the human. So we should apply these cyberspace etiquettes in ourselves and be a responsible netizen. Now we are going to see a phishing scheme that happened in the Philippines. Here is Mr. Ravis for that.
Yes, thank you, Miss Bonachita. Today we're going to talk about phishing that happened in the Philippines. Let us watch this courtesy by GMA.
Nakatanggap na ba kayo ng mga text message na kung hindi ka inaalok ng mga promo, nagkaproblema naman raw ang iyong bank account at kailangan mong i-click ang nakalakip na link para ito'y maresolba? Babala ng pulisya.
Hindi po siya totoo. Do not click on the link.
Talagang think before you click. Dahil ayon sa PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group, isa itong uri ng scam na paraan ngayon ng mga hacker para pasukin di lang ang inyong social media account, personal na impormasyon, pati na bank account ninyo.
So pag kinlik mo yung link, dun ka na mapapasukan ng mga malwares. Pag nag-penetrate na siya sa mga device mo, dyan na masisimulang manakaw ang mga information mo. So whatever is saved in your PC or your cell phone.
Si Josh nawalan ng cash sa kanyang bank account nang i-click niya ang link na nakalakip sa text message na natanggap mula raw sa isang bangko na nag-aalok raw noon ng Valentine promo. Pangalan ng bangko ang nakasaad na sender at wala ring number.
Sobrang totoo yung message like hindi siya galing sa normal na cellphone number. Talagang nakalagay is the name of the bank. Then I entered my username and password. Tapos nanghingi ng OTP. Ayun, biglang may nag-notify na napasay na yung lahat ng amount na natitira.
Kung minsan, tila galing talaga ang mensahe sa bangko dahil ang nagpadala nito'y ang dati ring nagpadala ng mga one-time password o OTP kaya tila kapani-paniwala ito. Sa isang pahayag, sinabi ng Union Bank na may umiikot ngayong fake alert. Huwag na huwag pipindutin ang mga link at huwag magbibigay ng personal na impormasyon o OTP sa kahit na sino. Sabi pa ng Union Bank, kailan may hindi sila magpapaklik ng link o kaya'y manghihingi ng mga impormasyon via call, email o text message. Nagbabala rin ng Bangko de Oro. Hindi rin daw sila kailanman magpapadala ng text message na may link na nagpapafile ng report o login ng account. Kung may natanggap mang kahina-hinalang mensahe, ipadala ito sa kanilang numero. Nauna na rin naglabas ang Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas ng memorandum kaugnay ng pagkontra sa malawakang phishing, kung saan kabilang sa mga rekomendasyon sa mga bangko ang pag-aalis ng mga clickable link sa mga email o text message. Sinusubukan pa naming kunan ng pahayag ang National Telecommunications Commission kaugnay nito. Muli ring paalala ng pulisya na maging ang mga link sa mga text message na nag-aalok ng mga palaro, online games at sugal online, delikado rin. Si G, na isang IT expert na wala ng 300,000 pesos na halaga ng Bitcoin, nang i-click niya ang link para makapag-download ng laro.
Nakasave po yung password ko sa browser ko. So nung nag-activate yung malware na yon, kinuha niya lahat ng password ko doon, tapos kinlose niya yung browser ko. Pagtingin ko sa mga save passwords ko sa Chrome, wala na. Kung importante talaga yung mga account, wag mo na i-save sa browser. I-notebook mo na lang.
Ayon sa pulisya, dumarami ang nagsumbong na biktima ng scam na ganito. Mula Enero hanggang Mayo, umabot na sa 163 cases. 5 dito, nakilala na nila ang mga suspect at nasampahan na rin ng kaso. Emil Sumangil, Nakatutok, 24 Oras.
So, phishing is a type of social engineering where an attacker sends to fraudulent message designed to trick a person into revealing or access sensitive information. We should not be aware of the links that we click in the cyberspace. So, now we are going to talk about video hacking scene that happened in the Philippines. Here is Mr. Tony for that.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Ravis. Today, we're going to talk about hacking that happened in the Philippines. Let us watch this courtesy of CNN Philippines.
22-year-old Shasta could not believe losing in one go tens of thousands of pesos from her account as a result of an online scam. She was among BDO depositors hacked by an unknown Mark Nagoyo and losing 50,000 pesos that were transferred to Union Bank.
Pagka-check ko sa personal email ko, stated talaga dun 50,000 and then pumunta dun sa account of Mark Nagoyo. Tapos nakalagay pa dun sa purpose of transaction, donation.
Messages are circulating that Mark Nagoyo with the registered Viber number is from the South. The PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group has recorded a total of 382 similar cases and complaints on mobile banking scam and online fraud this year. However, this figure is too small compared to numerous incidents happening in the cyber world. The police say they are cracking down on online fraud, but the process takes time.
Sa bank secrecy at saka sa Data Privacy Act, hindi mo pwedeng i-disclose ang mga information. Kaya nga tayo nag-a-apply ng warrant to disclose computer data para magkaroon. It doesn't happen overnight. Minsan, it takes like from 2 weeks to roughly 30 days.
Still, the police anti-cybercrime group says victims should file complaints.
They have to come to us para matulungan natin sila.
The National Bureau of Investigation says it is coordinating with BDO and Union Bank on the issue and looking at possible security loopholes.
Baka na-exploit yung ng mga hackers yung isang gap or vulnerability ng system, kaya sila nakapag-transfer ng funds. Although may sophistication talaga, kasi all of a sudden, ang daming na-transfer.
Cybersecurity expert JJ Decine explains the bank clients were victims of a fraud called phishing.
Napalitan yung control doon sa account at napunta ngayon doon sa hacker. Hindi pa natin masasabi na may parang long-term solution for security, maybe in the future.
In a statement, Union Bank says it is determining the amount involved in the scam while coordinating with the Anti-Money Laundering Council and the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas on the issue. BDO meanwhile said additional security is in place to protect their clients. The bank added it will reimburse its clients. Despite the incident, the NBI says people should still trust online transactions.
Kapag uumpisan natin, hindi na tayo mag-online transaction, panalo na yung mga hackers na yan dahil hindi lang tayo nanakawan, natakot pa tayo.
For now, Shasta says she is filing a complaint and is hoping to recover her hard-earned money soon. Stanley Gajetes, CNN Philippines.
Hacking is an activity that seeks to compromise digital device such as computer, smartphone, tablet, even the entire networks. For example, this happened to your bank account. You should seek immediately assistance to your bank branch to solve these issues. Now, we're going to talk about how to protect your data in cyberspace. Here is Mr. Necesito for that.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Rotoni. Now, we're going to talk about on how to protect your data in cyberspace. Let us watch this courtesy of Tech Insider, which its speaker is a former NSA hacker.
Mr. Robot is probably one of the most accurate portrayals of what hackers can actively do. If you're interested in hacking and don't understand a lot of this, the TV show itself actually employs hackers to work on the show to depict real life hacks that could happen in real life. And it's a very, very accurate portrayal of everything that we see in today, from being able to hack smartphones to getting access to a big corporation and being able to bring them to their knees from a cyber perspective. So what's the top 5 things that you can do to make yourself more secure both at your business and your home? Number 1, use two-factor authentication or two-step verification everywhere that you can. Your banking systems, Twitter, Facebook, all support the ability for you to enable an additional security feature that you may not know. If you go to your settings, it's in there. You can enable it, and every time that you log in, it'll register your computer, and you can then get a text message to go into that system as a second form of verification. And why that's important is because if a hacker gets access to your password, they still have to have access to your phone to get access to your account. And that's really important by enabling that specific security step, probably number 1. Number 2, don't use the same password everywhere. I know it's hard, but using the same password everywhere is one of probably the easiest ways that we break in as hackers. So if you have the same Twitter password as your same banking information, those are things that can get you in some serious trouble. Number 3, make sure that you stay up to date. Those security patches. Every time you have a Windows update that says, hey, I need to update your computer, it's usually to fix a known attack that hackers have figured out to get access to your computer. So keep up to date. Whether you're using a Mac, they aren't impervious to attack, or using Windows, same thing, update your systems. That's the most important thing. Always keep up to date with what you're having out there. Same thing for third-party applications. If you're using Java, Adobe, PDFs, Office documents, those are all things that you want to keep up to date, and that makes it much harder for us as hackers to break into your system. Number 4, social media. Be careful with how much information you actually put online. We as attackers can look at that. Look at what you do, your spending habits, what you might be doing from a day-to-day perspective, going and buying Starbucks at a certain location. Those are all things that we can use to identify when you're going to be out of the country or when you're going to be at a business meeting. We can use that as a method to attack you. One of the main things that we do as hackers, especially when it comes to social engineering, is we create a sense of urgency. Something that you're familiar with, but you have to take action upon. So let's just say, for example, I'm a Verizon customer and I have an Amazon package that's getting delivered. Well, if I, as an attacker, know an Amazon package is getting delivered, sending a text message from a Verizon customer support service line coming from Amazon saying, hey, your package is being rerouted, you need to log into the site to get it delivered again, is something that an attacker can use. So those are things that attackers can leverage is urgency, how you actually operate, and all that information that you post online are things that we can use as attacks. And last but not least, personal information. That's one of the biggest things that attackers can leverage to get access to your data. Things like social security numbers, your credit card numbers. A person is not going to call you on the phone from a banking service and ask you for that type of information. So whenever you get a call that's too good to be true, or a call that is a fraud services line, call them back. Look at the number on the website themselves and call it back. Because a lot of times attackers will impersonate financial services, they'll impersonate different organizations to try to get your personal information and use that to be able to make fraudulent charges. So when it comes to that, your phone, verify first. Go to their site, call the site itself from there, and then call to an actual person that's actually at that institute itself.
Now, we have seen on what is cyberspace all about.
What are the etiquette that you should act when you are in cyberspace?
What are things you should aware of on clicking things?
What are things you need to do when you are being hacked?
Be mindful.
Be responsible.
Be care.
Once again, this is Cyberspace Awareness Program.